Alright everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to cover basically how to get your website from looking like this to looking like this for you to get more leads for your contractor business. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, HVAC, roofing, whatever type of industry you're in, these tricks can and will apply to you in most cases. We're going to cover basically through this checklist that I have here. So if I go down to this link, we have, all the tips, all the types of optimizations you could do, whether it's for your website's design, your website structure, and your website speed. This video is going to be a lot faster paced. I have videos going over more in detail every single aspect of these things. I'm just going to go over the major ones that can help you with your business grow. And we're going to cover basically the above the fold of a website on mobile. So I'm not going to cover on desktop. I did a video dedicated to that. So if you go to the channel, you can see that. I'm just going to talk about mobile because most traffic nowadays is going on mobile and most people are taking decisions on mobile. For contractors, from what I've seen with the clients I've worked with in the past, it tends to be 50-50. So 50% of people are seeing you on mobile, 50% of you are seeing you on desktop. So I made a video more dedicated to the desktop optimizations you could do. And this one's going to cover the mobile ones. So first thing I want to do is just show you how this can affect your business. So I have timestamps. I believe I'm going to have timestamps so you could just skip ahead if you just wanted the tutorial. But now I'm just going to explain to you overview what that might have an effect on your business, as an effect on your business. So if you can imagine your website being the center of everything in your business. So wherever a lead finds you, so whether it's review sites, search engine results, social media, maps, directories, whatever way they could find you, they're going to end up either on your website, checking out your website, either checking out your online reputation or your content, or contacting you directly. But most people are going to end up on your website. I would say 80% of people who are searching you are going to end up on your website. And so having your website set up in a way that increases conversion rate, so basically, in other terms, you could say that gives more information to the person quicker and better, so that they can make a better decision and can make a decision they're more likely to make a decision that aligns with you, so basically dealing with you as a business. Optimizing these things can have an effect in terms of your revenue and your profit down the line, because obviously if you have 1,000 people seeing you and they see your website and only 100 of them end up contacting you, well, you only have 100 potential leads. Well, now if you improved your website in a way that now it's 150 people contacting you, well, now you've got yourself 50% more revenue, basically. If everything stays equal, basically 50% more revenue into your business. So I'm just going to do the math here just quick. I have a projections calculator. Again, if you want to skip to the tutorial, you can. Now, let me just show you here. So if I were to imagine this as your business, so let's say I'm going to reset these stats back to 0, just to make it a little bit clearer here. So if you could imagine your business as being this, let's say this is a pretend business, you have 2,000 visitors a month to your website and your conversion rate is 3%. We're not going to go over all these other aspects here, but just imagine this, and then having all this entails you're making $132,000 a month, let's say, for your business, because your average order value is $30,000. Now, imagine if you were to increase the amount of visitors, increase the conversion rate you're getting to your site. So that means you're improving your site speed, you're improving the design of the website. So like we're going to talk about in making it go from this to this. What that's going to do is that it's going to increase the likelihood that people are actually going to contact you. So how much of a percentage can you improve? We've seen it with businesses we worked with. We get, over 30%, over 50% in some cases. In most cases, I would say if you haven't ever done, conversion rate optimization, you could, I would say, not a guarantee, there's no guarantees in life, but 10% I would say is a 99.999% guarantee for you to be able to achieve if you were to implement all these tricks within your business. So let's just assume here, back to the calculator, let's assume here you're getting a 10% increase in your conversion rate. So you're going from a 3% conversion rate to a 3.3% conversion rate, which is nothing crazy. But if you could imagine it, if your business is doing this amount of revenue, obviously if you're making less revenue, the number I could change this here. Let's say you're making $13,000 a month. Your monthly profit now is actually $14,500 a month. So you're making $1,300 a month more just because you improve your website by 10%. So if you could imagine it this way, you say, okay, well, I changed my website, I'm getting 10% more leads, I'm making $1,300 more a month. Now this is month number 1, but these things apply to every single month until basically your website needs to be modified again. But let's just assume a 5-year lifespan before you need to redesign your website again. So if you were to say 5 years, so for those 5 years, every month I'm getting 10% more leads. That's not changing your offer. That's not changing. That's not doing ads. That's not spending on ads. This is going to be your one-time payment or one-time effort, and then everything else is set for life, basically, or at least for 5 years, the life of your website. You're not spending on ads. You're not spending on more acquisition methods. Your cost of acquisition is getting lower, and all the other snowball effects that are going to happen. Because if you optimize your website, that means more people are interacting with it. People are staying longer on your website. What that does is actually indicate to Google that your website is a stronger source, or it's something people like to engage with. And what happens there is that after that, you're going to be ranking higher potentially on search engines. So you're going to be ranking higher on Google. And since you're ranking higher on Google, you're getting more visitors to your site. Those visitors are happier. You're getting a higher ranking on Google, and so on and so forth. And the whole cycle continues. So improving, like I was saying, which at minimum I believe you could achieve 10% increase in conversion rate, especially if you've never done these things in the past, then that could lead you to those immediate profits, but also indirect ones, like I was saying, more search engine results. Maybe you're getting higher rankings, so you're getting 100 more visitors a month, so now you're increasing $2,000 a month in profit, and so on and so forth. And maybe your close rate is better because you're better explaining what your business is about within your website. You're better showing people, and so on the close rate, on your sales calls, you're actually closing more deals, 10% there, and so on and so forth. So this is all pretend. This is going to depend on your business and a bunch of different factors, but just interesting to note how such a precise optimization can have effect on the rest of your business and your bottom line, a strong effect on your bottom line as well. So let's get into it here. I'm going to go through it as a visual first, and then I'm going to go through the checklist just to make it a little bit easier to understand. The general idea that we focus on, and that I believe most businesses want to focus on, is basically you want to give that person all the information, the visitor of your website, all the information they need in the first appearance of your website. So that is the above the fold. So if somebody were to open up their phone, and now we're talking about mobile, so it's going to be mobile specific, they open up their phone and they search your website. What they're going to see a certain section. That section is called the above the fold. It's the first section they see. 80% of visitors, or thereabouts, 80% of visitors either leave or make a decision there. So they either make a decision to keep scrolling or they leave. So 80% of visitors actually end up leaving. So the above the fold is the most important part on your website, because if the rest of your website is completely optimized, well, you still have 80% of people leaving. Now, can you reduce that? Can you reduce that to 70%? Can you get people to engage with you there? So the idea is also to give all the information possible there, so that the person that is impatient or the person that would have left before can actually make a decision right there and then without even needing to scroll. So they could call you right there, they could email you right there, they could, like if you could see here, the phone number is right here, it's front and center. The phone call button is front and center as well. Book your free assessment, you have all the information here. Here there's a form, but it's a lot less enticing, it's a lot less interesting to click. Now these are extra elements, these would be hidden, you wouldn't see these things on the side, but anyways, I'm just going to keep it there just to make it more aesthetic. In any case, you would have all the information there. You would see how many reviews that business has, how many reviews on Facebook that business has, all the information you might need. So it's a lot more complete, and it gives the person who isn't looking to scroll, or maybe the person would have tended not to scroll, more information and increase the likelihood that they stay. So this is what we're going to focus on, is going to be the above the fold. And so now there's ways to test these things. So in the future, if you're really trying to improve this and it's worth it for you, maybe your business that's worth maybe over $4 million in revenue from your website, and improving 10% is going to lead you to $400,000 in revenue more per year. Well, then it's maybe worth it for you to do these optimizations to the next level. But in any case, what you can do is, if you're going from this, is basically have a title that's enticing, and I would say even colorful. We do this gradient, I find just in terms of design it helps. So title here. Then I would say 3 bullet points with logos, because people are looking fast. So you want to show them that you're to be trusted. You want to show them that you're qualified. So you've maybe you've done work in the past. You're since 2000, since 1998, over 10,000 jobs done. You want to show that you're legally, you're good. So basically, you want to give them the top 3. The way you can see it is that when somebody goes on your website, they're trying to look for reasons not to work with you, basically. So they're going to think, okay, maybe this person's too expensive. Can I really trust them? Have they done work for people before? All these questions they might have. So you want to address these as a top 3 concerns. So if the top concern in your industry is, can I really trust this person? Well, maybe you say, okay, we have a, like a service guarantee, 24-hour, like a 30-day service guarantee or whatever it may be. That's going to be your number one. Number two is going to be over 10,000 jobs done in the last 2 years or something like that, or over 10,000 jobs done since 1998. So that just gives people the confidence, okay, this is not a new business. I'm not going to get screwed over. I'm going to have somebody who's legitimate and is doing the good work. So you try to address all these objections first, giving more information. So if you could imagine the comparison going from these logos with the information compared from a description here that just says, in this case, I'm making it extreme, like making it not even visible, but call us now and learn why we are the best company in the United States. Like the type of description here maybe would be an about us section. It's not information that leads them to trust you more. It's information you might want them to know, but it's not information they actually are interested to know, at least not at this stage of their search. And so I would recommend, first off, these two things. Second, I introduced it here on top. In any case, maybe you have an English and Spanish version website, English and French version website, you might want to include it there, but you want your email as well. So you want people to be able to call you and email you in your header. This is going to follow people around. So when they're scrolling, they're going to keep seeing it. And so that means that every time they're scrolling, they actually can contact you, whether it's by email or call. They don't have to go back up or go back down, try to find your number. No, it's right there. The call is there, the email is there. They want to do one or the other, they could do it easily. So already there, just giving them more information. Now, in terms of the ratings here, very important to put, if you have reviews, very important to put the reviews that you have. So if you have Google rating or Facebook ratings, put as many as you can. If you have, 200 Google reviews and maybe 30 Trustpilot reviews, you should put those as well. It's going to depend on the type of industry you're in and the type of tool people use. So if you're in a market, if you notice locally that most people are using Trustpilot and Google My Business to leave reviews, then put those two up. If you see that people trust more Google and Facebook, put those two up. If you don't have any reviews on Facebook, but you have some on Trustpilot, put your Trustpilot, don't put your Facebook. If you have 200 plus reviews, put it on a Google rating. Show the number. In this case, we didn't show the number because this is a fake one, but you could show 200 plus 5-star Google rating, 200 plus 5-star Facebook ratings, and you show it there. So again, this is one of the objections people might have. Can I really trust this person? Well, look, we have 200 Google ratings. You could even link this to it. So if ever they're actually curious, they can actually check out the reviews for themselves. And that's a lot more trustworthy than, the reviews that you might have on your website that are text reviews or anything basic like that. Then phone number in big bold just makes it easy for them to click on it. On mobile, people are clicking to give you a call. On desktop, they're not going to be clicking, because if they click, the call is going to be taken within their desktop. So what you want is you want to write out the number for them to type it, but you also might want to write it down for mobile. So you want people to click on it, to press the button, but you also want it on mobile to show, so that if somebody is not interested in clicking it, they could just, swipe up, go to their phone and just type it. Maybe they're with a friend, they want a friend to call it. You just have that information there instead of just having a button. It kind of helps. Then we're going to talk about the different optimizations you could do for your buttons, so to make it more appealing to click, so increase the likelihood that people click on it, but that's going to be a little bit later on in the video. Then you got the form. Again, the form, if you see here, the comparison, you go from this bland form that doesn't really give more information compared to this here. So you see here, just email us or fill out this form. Doesn't give me information on what's going to happen if I fill it out. Now, if I fill it out here, book your free assessment. So you put the offer that you have. So we offer free assessments. Okay, so book your free assessment or get your free assessment or fill out this form to get a free assessment or free quote or whatever it may be. Then you might have a description, in this case, fill out the form below and one of our representatives will contact you within 24 hours. So it shows them that if they're interested in getting the service quickly, there you have it, they could get it as quick as possible. And then whatever detail you might want to include. One tip for forms is that the more form fields that you have, so the more information you request from people, the less likely the lower your conversion rate. So the less likely people are actually going to fill it out. So the heavier it is, the less likely people are to fill it out. Now the thing is, you want to balance it, because the more information you have about the client, the better it is for you to make your quotes fast, or maybe include in your CRM and get your guys out and doing quotes. But in most cases, what you're going to want to do is have it as concise as possible so that people fill it out quickly. Maybe the first form you have it like that, so it's as easy as possible for people to fill it out, because those people are likely the most impatient. And then going down the line, maybe further down your website or your contact us page or whatever, maybe you may have a fuller one, which people are going to be more likely to fill out in any case, because if they've gone through the process of searching your website, going to other pages, then they're probably the type of people who would fill out a form, who would take the time to fill out that form. So this is the main view of what it would do here. Now, obviously, colors, this is not going to matter for this video. This is not the importance here. If you have a certain brand, you change your logo, you change your name, you put it whatever. This is just a fake one. But you see here how, you know, just visually, just in terms of design, this helps. So I find personally, this design is more aesthetically pleasing than the usual business. But it's the fact that it gives you more information quicker, and it makes it more enticing for you to actually fill out the form. Here I'm trying to get you to fill out this form, but the person isn't giving me any incentives to do it. It's just stating that you can. Here you're giving me an incentive, you give me an offer, you're saying you could get a free estimate. You're engaging me more in the whole process, and that leads to usually higher conversions. So if you were to do just this, and not even the other things we're going to talk about this video, I could assume if your website looked like this and you go to this and your site speed stays the same, which we're going to talk about site speed and the effect it has on conversions, I would assume at minimum a 10% improvement in conversion rate. If everything else stays the same, I would assume a 10% conversion rate. The rest of your website could be the same as it was before, and just having this is probably going to get you more leads. So something to consider there. Now let's get into the actual checklist here. We're going to go over it pretty quickly. I've done videos covering all these aspects in detail. So I have 12 trainings basically covering every single aspect of your service business. Well, every single aspect within this whole, this whole funnel here. So I have trainings going over all of these. So we have, for websites, we have a website design training, website structure, website site speed, and the checklists that are connected to them. The checklist they're going to be in this format. So if I show you here, if you ever access the 12 trainings for free in the description below, and let me just show you, actually, this is it. So this is the checklist here. So you have them in this format. If you want the format that we're talking about here that I'm using in this video, this is part of the paid optimization bundle. So if you want to check that out, it's going to be linked in the description, but it's not free. So if you want the free one, you could go check out the free one. I give that all the information basically for free. And this is just a tool that makes it easier for you to do yourself. So here, if you are your own business, if you're dealing with your own business, what you could do is you could evaluate within all these aspects if you're at a bad stage, if you're at a good stage, or a non-relevant stage. So if you're bad, so it's not really optimized, that's going to do one thing. If it says, you say it can be improved, it's going to affect the priority of it. If you say it's already good, it's going to affect the priority of it. And if you say that it's already done, then you could just check it off, and then you're done with, and then you pass to the next thing. So now, with all that said, let's get into actually the top things you could do that we didn't really talk about. So first thing, the call to action. So this is the button. So if we're going to go here, this is the types of button here, type of button there. On desktop, they're going to be more visually stunning, but in any case for mobile, they're going to have an effect. The main things I would say, so if we go to priority, the easiest things to implement, so less cost and highest impact, would be, let's go with these three here. So you could use rectangular buttons with rounded corners. This seems to convert higher than just rectangular buttons. So if we'll see here, it has the rounded corners, just helps you more for conversion rate. For whatever reason, the boost is probably 5%. It's small, but all you have to do is go to all your buttons, and instead of having rectangular ones, if it makes sense with your design, you just round the corners, and you should get a little boost in conversion rate. Just makes it more clickable and makes people realize that it's a button. So sometimes people might be interested in your service, but they don't see the buttons. They don't think it's a button. They don't think you could click it. But if you make it obvious to them that is a button, that they could click it, that increases the likelihood then that you actually get that conversion. Ensure the CTA is visible on every scroll and page slide. So basically, whenever someone's scrolling, like I was mentioning before, you want them to be able to do the contact right away. And so if I give the example here, you have the button here with the header that stays stuck. So whenever somebody's scrolling, the header stays. So they could always end up calling you or emailing you and you're basically giving them no excuse to not contact you. So if they feel like it, they could do it right away. If that moment of impulse came, they wanted to contact you, they'll contact you. So you're just giving them the best chance for them to contact you. Then you got consider sticky CTA that follows the visitors throughout the page. So that would be more like, in this example, since this is just an image, so let's say, imagine you had the CTA here and it would follow the person around. So when they're scrolling, the actual button stays with them. And so you can make it bigger or whatever. Obviously this one doesn't have the background, but you can make it bigger and it just follows the person around. And so they could click with their thumb. It just makes it easier for them to just press it instead of reaching up with their thumb here. Then again, it's going to depend on design. If it's too cluttered, then your website might be too cluttered. In any case, something to consider. Now for video sales letters, this is something that I don't see a lot of service businesses implement, but I see a lot of agencies a lot of people that are up and coming, or not up and coming, but they're at the forefront of improvements of everything that is marketing, they have a VSL. A VSL is a video sales letter. Basically, it's a 2 to 5 minute video. You can make it longer, you can make it shorter, but it's just a video that expresses the different benefits of your business. And I would say the best way you could film it is basically a video that handles every single objection that a client might have about your business in a conversational, educational type tone. So it's a video, maybe filming you like I'm filming myself with probably a better background, or maybe a background of the services you're having. Maybe you on a site, on a construction site, or maybe you after, showing all the clients that you've had or something like that. And you just addressing all the common objections people might have. So if people, they have the issue, let's say with your industry, let's say you're a roofer, they usually don't have the financing for it, they don't have the money to pay for it. Well, you can mention first thing, hey, I'm, John from ABC Roofing. Just want to share this little video to explain to you a little bit about our roofing services. First thing, we offer financing, whatever, there's a way to structure, but you would mention financing first. Then second objection is people don't trust you. So you say, we've done this, we've done roofs, we've been working with our clients since, 1998, and we haven't had any roof leakage since then. And if we've had any issues, we've been able to repair them with our emergency repair service. So you could constantly address all these objections and knock them out of the park. And so when the person is looking at the video, basically they're getting sold at every step, like you would in a sales call. And they're getting sold at every step, and so handling every single objection, so that when they finish watching the video, now they're ready to contact you. And the beauty of a video is that if you can imagine, a picture is worth 1,000 words, well, a video is worth 1,000 pictures. And so you're giving a lot more information, a lot more concisely, and making them understand your business a lot better, a lot quicker. So if you could imagine, if I'm trying to give you all that information in text, I'm gonna have a block this long. You have to read through the whole thing. Maybe I'm gonna have some images in there. In any case, it makes it long. Most people are not going to bother reading it. A video, a lot more likely that someone's going to read it, watch it. So if they watch it, then they end up getting all the information they wanted. It's pleasant for them to engage with it, and they also get, they get the information that you're telling them. So the words you're saying, but they're also getting a vibe. They're getting a vibe. They're getting the background. So if you're showing, in the background all the work you've done, maybe you get an editor to try to do that. You could be in front of your site with your team. You could be at your office, so you could show the status that your business have. You could show the trustworthiness that your business has. You could show your reviews in the background. You could have editing that shows the reviews, actually, scrolls down, shows you all the Google reviews. So there's many things you could say there's many things you could show that you can't really say, but you could show that and handles the objection. So the thing is, with VSLs, this is probably the best opportunity right now for most service businesses, because your competition is probably not doing it. And the reason they're not doing it is not because it doesn't work, because it does work for people who are at the upfront of it. It's just that it's something that's so, I guess, new that the opportunity hasn't been struck yet fairly enough for most service businesses. So I would say if you were to do it in terms of your mobile, you would have your whole section here which you're booking for your assessment, and then right under it, you would have your VSL. So those people who aren't convinced, you could have the video right under to try to convince them after that. Now, what you can do is you could also have it up front. So you could have it at the top. So as soon as they get on your website, they could click on the button on the video and start watching. That's going to be something to test out. Even I'm not sure what works best, having up front or having at the bottom. This is something you have to test out for your own business and see which one actually leads you to get more form fill-outs. Now, this is going to be the gist of it for the VSL. In terms of testimonials, so we have it mentioned here, you have your Google rating, you show how many reviews you have, Facebook ratings. What you're going to have after is also how many reviews you have, how you show your reviews. So now we're just seeing the numbers. So the numbers is probably the lowest on the totem pole of how impressive it is. Now, if I show you numbers, you think you kind of trust the numbers. If I show you a text, like a paragraph of somebody leaving you the review plus the numbers, now you trust me a little bit more. If I show you the numbers, a text of the person leaving the review plus a profile picture of them, then you trust them a little bit more. Then I add maybe the image of the service that was served to the whole thing, you trust them a little bit more. Now I show you even a video of me, let's say the client, selfie style in front of the place that they got the service from. That leads to even more increase in trust. So the idea with the testimonials is that, let's say maybe after your VSL, so after the video, you would basically have a scrolling option, so they could scroll through every single review that you have that are video reviews. So again, same principle as the VSL, videos convert more. Videos give more information in a shorter amount of time, and they're more engaging with people. And so you want to show basically every single one of those videos that you can. So maybe you ask the people that you know to leave your reviews like that. You know, they could always do it in their. It's almost better for those reviews to be as organic as possible. So not to be overproduced or anything like that. You want them to be in their car, to be on their way to work, like not something that they're at your business. I would say not something that they're at your business and they're sitting down all properly and they're giving you a review and it's very, you know, it's scripted. You want them to take out their selfie, have bad quality. Hey, so happy I did my roof with ABC Roofing. Did a tremendous job. They left the site clean. You know, like nothing was dirty after. Didn't have any issues with them. They left at 5. They started at 7. Like none of my neighbors were angry with them. Super happy. And they're even doing my grandmother's, you know, roof as well. I'm so happy with them. Blah blah blah. 5 star, 5 star. That's gonna convert more than something of you know, someone super professional looking at your office, maybe all, you know, scared doing the review. So, anyways, something to consider. But in any case, what you want is you want to have those ready reviews. If you can't get those, or it's too hard for you to get those, images is going to be second best. And if you can't get the images, then third is going to be text. Now, I would recommend strongly to push for getting at least the image reviews. So maybe ask permission for profile pictures, or even get them selfie style images in front of the service you did, or even maybe even professional images you take. You could do that as well. But that's going to really help for conversion rate optimization. This is probably now I'm going over the best tips. After that, they're going to be less and less effective, but these are going to be the major things you could do. So you do a video, it might take you a day to film the video. You pay an editor $300 to do it, whatever it may be. The testimonials, you asked, you know, your best clients, the clients you have the best relationships with, to take a selfie style video in 30 seconds. You asked, you know, 50 of them, maybe 10 of them end up doing it. You post all 10 within your website so people can scroll. And you have all this optimization there, a 10% is going to be close to a guarantee, as close as a guarantee. Now, for the rest of the stuff here, you've got some miscellaneous design optimizations. I'm not going to go over this, but if you want to pause it and take a screenshot or check these out, you can. General design considerations, again, I'm not going to cover this. Now let's go to website structure. The idea with the website structure, since this video, I don't want to make it too long. I'm not going to cover every single optimization, but again, if you want to pause at any point, you can here, because these are going to apply to certain types of businesses as well. But the main idea with the structure of how you want to structure your website is, like I was saying before with the VSL, is you want to handle every single objection from most pungent to least pungent. So most the one that people hold on to the most, or that they have a hardest time leaving, to the least. So if you're looking at your website in terms of mobile, like we're seeing here, you're trying to address the objections in terms of these bullet points and these reviews and the phone number and so on. But after that, basically, if you know that, I'm going to keep repeating myself, but if you know that the person is most, the client is most worrying about the trustworthiness of your business, well, trustworthiness is going to be second step. Then they're worried about financing. Then you have a section right under about financing, how you can help with financing. Then they wonder if you can do the service in their region. Then you have a list of all the regions you could serve. They want to know what services you actually do. You have a list of all your services. So basically, you want to address every single question that's going to pop into the person's mind, from highest likelihood to least likelihood. Obviously, different clients, different questions, so you can't really adapt it to every single person. It's going to have to be a average thing. But on average, what's going to happen is it's going to follow a sequence. And this is something you can test out. That's going to be pretty easy for you to test out if you're doing conversion rate optimization fully. Is that you have website version A, website version B, and all you do is you change up the sections. So maybe you think section 2 should be at section 3, and section 3 should be section 2. You test out these two, you let them run for a month. You say, okay, this one had a 10% conversion rate, this one had a 12% conversion rate. Okay, so perfect. We're going to keep this structure here. You test out some different other things. Okay, perfect, and so on and so forth. You can keep optimizing that way. Now, let's get back in here. So that's going to be for your website in general. You have the different things you could do, the different structuring you could set up, the different information you want to do. One thing that I see most services businesses do but not do as well is FAQs and these types of information, and also about the company. I would put that way below. I wouldn't put it as your second section. You want to give people information about interacting with your business. About us is not really what your service, unless you're doing an about us, so explain exactly what your services are. But most people do an about us of what's the history of the business. except for saying, hey, we've been in business for 30 years, there's not much information that's valuable for the client at that stage. So I would recommend putting that very low, and also would recommend having an FAQ section. So I've seen it with the clients we worked with. A lot of people interact with the FAQ section. I don't know what percentage it is, but it's a very strong percentage. Like it's almost, you get almost as many clicks on the FAQ than you get on the phone number. So almost as many people call you that they check the FAQ. So FAQ, you have basically, again, all the objections you have, you list them from 1 to 10, and you basically, question number 1 is objection 1, answer. Question number 2 is objection 2, answer, so on and so forth. So you get some little tips and tricks there, but I would say if you're trying to build out your website, basically put as much information as you can. So if you want to make your website scroll forever, you can make your website scroll forever. There's no issues with that. If somebody's tired of scrolling, they're going to stop scrolling, they're going to contact you. Nobody, if somebody scrolls and they say, oh man, this website's so long, nobody's going to keep searching on that website. And if they keep searching on that website, they weren't interested in your service. They're just interested in seeing your website. So in any case, you're not losing anything. You just might increase your conversion rate, because that person that gets to the bottom of your website and isn't getting the information they're interested in, they might leave. But now you could actually fulfill that. So something to keep in mind there. Then you got some booking calendar optimizations. This is going to depend if you're a booking type service business. Pop-ups, I would recommend exit intent pop-ups. The other ones I wouldn't recommend too much. So basically, it's if somebody's going to leave your website. Maybe I could give you guys an example. So we have Vizions Digital here. This is our agency's website. As soon as someone leaves, it's gonna, you see, so pops out of the 12 trainings. So if they aren't interested in our services, at least when they're going to leave the website, they might download our trainings, and then they're going to stay in our ecosystem. So just a little conversion rate optimization tip there. Blogs, this is going to be something else. Globalization, we have a video covering these in depth. Now, in terms of site speed, one thing I want to show you guys is the site speed conversion metrics. So if I can reconnect here and I go to the site speed, website site speed section. So this is a statistics it's not all encompassing. This not by be the actual keys for your business, but you could use this as a guide, as a relative guide. So if you see here, this is a website they were tracking. Conversion rate was 31% when they were going from 0 to 1 second. So the time it would take for the website to load, so all the information to load, was 0 to 1 seconds. Conversion rate was almost 32%. You get to 1 to 2 seconds, conversion rate is 21. So already just there, going from 0 to 1 second loading website, your conversion rate drops by a third. And so you're losing a third of the potential clients you could get just because your website isn't loading fast. So this is, I would recommend as being the number one thing you should do for your website, is just improve its speed. Just that alone, if you're considering these stats to be accurate and representative of what's going to happen in your business, you're going to increase your leads by a third just because you went from a 1 second loading website to a 0.5 second loading website. In most cases, you could get it under 1. If you're using Wix, WordPress, or whatever, you could usually get it under 1. If you want to get it under 0.5, that's going to be, like some very advanced optimizations, and it's gonna hurt the quality, the design aspects of your business. It's gonna hurt a lot of other features of it. But in most cases, what you could get is under 1 second, relatively easily. You could probably get a 1.1, 1.2. So in most cases, under 2, I would say pretty much guaranteed you could get, and under 1 second is gonna be strongly possible for you to do. So you see how, after that you get worse and worse and worse. Now 6 seconds, 9 seconds, they have some little spikes, but it doesn't really mean much. In any case, you want to basically be under 1 second. We've been able to achieve this for, I believe, every single one, most 95%, I would say, almost of the businesses we worked with were able to achieve this. So in most cases, you will be able to as well. Now let's see what this actually means in terms of how to do it. So first thing is you want your images and videos to be compressed. So what does that mean? Your images take up a lot of space, take out a lot of energy, you could say, for Google to load. And so if they're compressed, meaning they're smaller in size in terms of file, so the file size is smaller and the quality is a little bit lower, that's going to make them load faster. Now you want to play around with that. How much quality are you willing to sacrifice? You don't want the picture to be blurry, especially if they're interesting images, but you might want to do it in a way where you're reducing it to the maximum, where visually you don't see any difference unless you're on your phone, close like this on your phone. So visually you're not having any impairment, but you're actually then you're improving your site speed. So another tip I could say, which is not included here, that I just thought of, is that, let's say here in this image, you see how there's black on top, and the image after that is, let's say, the same one as this one, but has a black font on top, so you could read the information better. What you can do is that instead of having it as a filter here, so let's say in this case we have a filter, so on your website you might put a filter on it. What you can do is the actual image, you could edit it so that it's blacked out for a certain section. What that's going to do is that the actual file size is going to be smaller because there's less complexity in the image. There's going to be more blackness, and so the image complexity is going to be lower, meaning that it's going to be faster to load. So there's various, advanced ways to do this, but in major ways you're going to want to set this up. Basically compress the images. That's going to be good enough. So you compress the images to make it smaller. You could use tiny PNG. There's a bunch of tools for that. And you also want to convert your images into WebP format, so that it's a format like PNG. So you have .png, .jpeg, .jpg. Well, this is .webp. And .webp is the one adopted from Google. And so it's going to be faster for Google to interact with the image and show it to clients. And so something to consider there. Optimize for different devices. You could resize your images specifically for mobile and desktop views. So an image on mobile, since your screen is smaller, you literally need less pixels. You need a less higher resolution image for it to appear good, because the actual size of the screen is smaller compared to a desktop that's bigger. So the image you have on desktop could actually be different to the image you have on mobile. And so you could just change those and change the resolution of each and adapt it to each, so that on mobile it shows up faster, and on desktop it shows as fast as it can, with the resolution not being affected. Like visually, you're not seeing any difference. So they're going to be different resolution sizes, but the actual impact it's going to have on you is going to be invisible to the naked eye. Optimize for different devices. That's it. Embedded videos externally. So if you're doing a VSL or any other type of videos, you don't want to have it within your website, because it takes your, let's say, internally within Wix or WordPress, whatever you're using. You want it to be embedded, usually I would say in YouTube or other types of streaming platforms. And what that's going to do is that since it's embedded externally, it's going to be faster for it to load up. And so it's going to affect less your site speed in general. So something to take in mind. Then you got some back-end optimizations. I'm not going to cover these. And you got some front-end optimizations that are even more advanced. But in general, if you're compressing your images, resizing them for different for mobile and desktop, embedding your videos externally, and I would say even your fonts, try to have as minimum amount of fonts and animations that you can on your website. So differences in that. Those five things are going to be the top, they're going to achieve 80% of your site speeds reduction. That's probably going to get you under 1 second. If you're trying to get lower than that, then maybe you want to consider these backend optimizations. And then there's videos online to really go advanced in that. There was a video going over, I believe it's McMallister or something like that. Let me try to find it. Fastest website online. McMasterCard, okay. So McMasterCard. So you see, they have probably the fastest loading website on the internet. And those videos going on about that. And by the way, I'm recording a video on the computer, so this is going to probably slow down a little bit. But you can see here how, like, if you're trying to interact with this website, there's nothing about it that feels sluggish. If you were to go on Amazon, it's not this fast. And Amazon is one of the biggest companies in the world. So you see how, if you were to interact with this business, you can't do this on most websites. This is just, it's insanity how fast this gets. And so they have very advanced optimizations. And if you check this video out, you go McMaster fastest website alive, something like that on YouTube, you're going to find a video of this guy covering this, and he covers the advanced optimizations there. There's even some that aren't publicly known, because that company is probably at the forefront of what's possible. In any case, for your service business, your contractor business, the top 5 tricks I just spoke about are going to be probably enough for you to make sense of it. So that's pretty much it for the video. So if ever you guys have any questions, any comments that you'd like to make me part of, please let me know. Please let me know if you have any questions, anything that you think I should cover again or cover in the next video. Please let me know as well. Anything that you think was maybe confusing or that you didn't understand, please let me know. I'll try to answer every single one of the comments, possibly the same week. So I'll try to answer them all. If you if you want to download our trainings, we have our 12 trainings going over every single aspect of your service business, especially if you're a contractor, because this video is dedicated to you. These trainings can help increase the amount of leads you get, the amount of conversions you get, your sales cycle as well. We have trainings basically on every single one of these, even your Google My Business, your social sites, your reviews, how to improve all those aspects, and basically how do all these aspects, kind of fit into your whole business's funnel. So if you could imagine this as being your business, maybe some of these aspects you have less optimized, you have less good, then there's a lot of ways you can improve every single one of them and just get yourself more leads and more business, and potentially, get your business to the next level. So that's pretty much it for this video. Again, if you want to download trainings, you're going to be linked in the description. And if you want to access this bundle, this is a paid product, so we're not giving this out for free. We're sharing it in the videos, but if you want to access it and use the tools like the projections calculator or the advanced checklist that we covered, this is going to be linked in the description below as well, but this is not free. If you want the free one, it's going to be the 12 trainings, but this one is more of a tool. All the information is the same on the 12 trainings as it is in all of this. This just makes it visually better to understand, and we have some extra information here, some priority lists and statistics and so on and so forth. So that's pretty much it there. In terms of working with us, we're Vizions Digital. We're an agency that helps service businesses, especially local service businesses, and I would say even more especially contractors, plumbing, HVAC, roofing, whatever it may be, to get more leads, get more revenue, get more profit even for their service business. So we have different guarantees, different offers. So if you're ever interested in that, go to our website, vizionsdigital.com, also going to be linked below. And you could check out our offers, maybe get on a call with us. It's going to be either me or one of our team members, and we could see if maybe we could help your business grow online. We're working mostly, we prefer to work with businesses that are doing over $1 million a year in revenue, or even over $4 million a year in revenue, just because the impact that we could have is going to be worth so much more. So, a 10% boost in conversions on a $4 million a year business is $400,000, and on a $100,000 business is $10,000. So, but we have offers for every single aspect of the market, so every single level. So if you're interested in that, give us a call, check out the calendar, see if you can't get a time with us. And we'd be more than happy to see if we can help you in any stage that your business is in. So that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.